Hello. So I thought I'd do a little run through, or rather, as I'm calling it, a scroll through of this guide on how to make custom wax candles out of molds, which are made from a squishy polymer called Sugru. And if you're wondering, well, why would you want to do this? The thing that sort of struck me is that often, I've worked a lot in sort of casting and molding and all these sorts of things, and the materials and the setup are usually quite expensive and quite advanced. You need things like vacuum degassing. The silicon itself is usually really, really messy because if it goes everywhere, you need to clean it off with special sort of cleaners and things like this. So it's basically not for the faint-hearted. Whereas Sugru is basically this squishy moldable glue stuff. It's a little bit like a cross between plasticine if it's set overnight and became a bit like a rubber. And so it's basically a perfect thing to mold around a little Lego minifigure and then carefully take out the minifigure, and then you can use it to pour in wax and take molds. So I thought this was really fun, and it made a friend of mine's birthday cake really, really awesome. But a little bit of disclosure I should also give is that I did used to work at Sugru when I was doing this, so this wasn't endorsed or paid for an advertisement in any way, but nonetheless I was working at the company, but it was something that I did in my own free time as a bit of fun. So either way, I thought I'd share it with you as it's something that has definitely helped me make quick molds in the past. So all I ended up doing was pouring wax into these molds, and again you can either put in a wick to make it a candle, or indeed a cocktail stick if you want to stick it in the other end as well, so that it can go into cakes. Needless to say, playing around with all sorts of different colours, really fun, and it was just really good fun project to do. So if you're not familiar with this website, Instructables, do go check it out. This little robot here, so Instructables.com, and my member profile is Hey Jude, and there's all sorts of things I get up to when not doing work that's professional and I can't talk about. So either way, things you'll need are basically the little minifig, and you can see that it's not critical to have one of these slightly dodgy looking scalpels. But it does help release the sort of little intricate tricky bits if you have something that's quite a fine point. I ended up buying some base wax, paraffin wax that you can get, and some colorant to go in it so you can make all sorts of different colors, and a little heater to melt the wax. Now with that said, you don't need to be quite as pro as that. You could just buy some wax crayons or wax candles, and that would work just as fine and be much cheaper, and you can get that from a Poundland or dollar store type shop. So, safety, I mentioned, do wear goggles, wax can spit. One of the odd things is if you get wax very hot and it takes a tiny bit of water in it, it'll spit violently, and that can really, really hurt both on your skin and most certainly your eyes. So do take a little bit of care, it's unpredictable if you're not used to it. So either way, do have a read of the guide, because if you are wanting to cast other things, there's some useful links in there. But either way, to create your mould, all I did was basically dip them in a little bit of water and then squoosh the Sugru around it. I felt that you needed about sort of, one pack per minifig, but if you're kind of new to it and you need a little bit of sort of, should we say, extra, then probably 1.5 packs, so you could probably do 2, and they generally come in sizes like 3 or 5 or 8 packs. So 3 will probably do you nicely for a gift like this. It's also worth pointing out that you can make ones that are completely enclosed, and I actually have another Instructable on that. And I'll put it in a link below, as you can actually cast low boiling point metals like pewter in Sugru, believe it or not. But either way, for a candle, most of the visual is transferred from the outline of the minifig, so I didn't bother trying to finesse the back. That's just normal flat wax. So anyway, that was how we did that, and then all I did was use this slightly scary scalpel to basically dig out any little bits that weren't to my liking, but left the detail in the front, and then I dropped in a little bit of wick. And again, you can buy these usually from the same sort of places that sell candle wax, be it Amazon or a specialist. So ended up putting in, as I said, these paraffin wax pellets, a little bit of colorant, and then obviously just moulding it and giving. And the nice thing that, unlike some moulds which can get quite sort of static, for example, if you 3D print something, or it just means that essentially because you can bend Sugru, it'll also release the mould quite easily. So again, that worked quite well. And if there was anything that was a little bit sort of shaky and didn't quite look right, one of the nice things was that I found that I could actually just heat up the blade of the scalpel and actually use it almost like a hot smoothing tool to get it just right. So again, little tricks like that figured out. And as you can see on the back of the candle, it's just flat. And I ended up doing a few little different variations with one of the little guys raising his hands as well. So you can play around with the minifig quite nicely. And again, benefit of hindsight, I realised that sometimes these things fall over. So putting a little cocktail stick in worked really nicely as well. So I'd say that's a good tip. And as always, once you get started, you get curious about what else you can make. And actually, it's fair to say that these bricks are much, much easier to do because there's less finicky detail. And so they're really, really easy to do. So in some ways, if you want to start just to get the ball rolling, I'd recommend doing a little 4x2 classic Lego brick. Again, I used to work at Lego. So again, this isn't endorsed or anything, but kind of weird to think maybe this was what got me the job, but I doubt it. So anyway, lots of fun to be had on the Instructables page, and I think I even won a small prize for entering it into a little competition here. So again, really nice way if you're just starting out, do fun projects and upload and share with people. So likewise, if you have any comments, either comment on the Instructables or indeed on this YouTube video. Thanks ever so much, and hope you enjoy it. Bye.